Bang, bang, MMA gang. Now, UFC Edmonton, the card is legit. It's better than the bullshit we've been getting for the past couple months. I really like this fight night. A lot of title implications in the main card. Overall, a great fight night, roster-wise and name-wise. I'm going to go over who I think wins and why. For the prelims, I'm going to do my picks. And for the main card, I'm going to do who I think wins and why. Basically, a full breakdown. Starting off, we have Jack Shore versus Yusuf Zalal. Now, this is my lock of the prelims. I'm going Yusuf Zalal over Jack Shore. Moving on, we have Jamie Lynn Horth versus Ivana Petrovic. I'm going with Ivana Petrovic. Moving on, we have Chad and Helger versus Cody Gibson. I'm going with Cody Gibson. Moving on, we have Garrett Armfield versus Serhii Sidney. I'm going with Garrett Armfield. Moving on, we have the guy I hate, the top 5 guys I hate most in the UFC, Rodrigo Nascimento versus Alexander Romanov. And I'm going with Rodrigo Nascimento, even though it hurts. You know, I don't want that guy to win. With everything in my heart, I have to. Gotta keep it objective over here. I'm going Rodrigo Nascimento. Moving on, we have Charles Jourdain versus Victor Henry. This was really hard for me to pick. I don't like the cut. I don't like how Charles Jourdain looked in his last fight. Is it Gene Silva? Sure. Have you recovered? How's that weight cut gonna be? I don't like any of those answers. I'm going Victor Henry. Moving on, we have Ariana Lipski versus the most devious and the vicious Jasu Davishkis. I'm going with Jasu. It's like I'm going with the Brazilian Ariana Lipski. Moving on, we have Ayman Zahabi versus Pedro Munoz, and I'm going with Pedro Munoz. I just think Pedro Munoz is going to fight from the outside. Gritty veteran, knows just enough how to win, play the outside, eke out a decision. Yeah, he did beat Chito Vera, in my opinion. Pedro Munoz is one of those guys where he just finds ways to win. He has good jiu-jitsu. He's a black belt. He can play from the outside. Is he a pitter-pat? Sure, he's a pitter-pat. We all know the guys. He's like a Brandon Royval, but he's going to calf kick his way. He's going to find ways just to eke out a boring split decision or like a unanimous decision. I'm going with Pedro Munoz by decision. Moving on to the main card. Mike Mallot versus Trevin Giles. Now, this is a fight that I am eyeing. What Mike Mallot do we get? He's coming off that loss to Neil Magny where he got fraud checked. Yes, fraud checked. He was doing extremely well against Neil Magny. Then when the going gets hard, as a prospect, we have to know when shit gets tough, how do you respond? And he didn't look well, bro. Neil Magny mounted him multiple times, drowned him. The guy didn't even know. He just shelled up, gave up, absolutely quit. But his opponent is Trevin Giles. Now, Trevin Giles has wins over Brendan Allen. He has wins over Roman Dolidze, over Ryan Spann. If I told you he has wins over those 3 guys, you would say it's not close. I'm going Trevin Giles. But at the same time, those were fights pre-UFC outside of the Roman Dolidze fight. Recently he's been getting finished, bro. Like, he lost to Carlos Prates, which is not that bad, but it is Carlos Prates. But he lost to Gabriel Bonfim. Like, he lost to DDP. He is losing to higher competition. It is higher comp, but at the same time, I don't like how he's been looking recently, constantly getting finished. It does depend on which Mike Mallot shows up. Is it gonna be the one that's mentally defeated, that's scared to exchange, doesn't want to get taken down or something like that? But here's the hanker and the chip, or whatever it's called. These two fought already. They grappled each other, and Mike Mallot submitted him. I think Mike Mallot's jiu-jitsu is actually extremely underrated. I think that's how he wins this fight over Trevin Giles. He gets him in a position, takes him down. I think Mike Mallot is kind of reminding me like a Grant Dawson. 2 undefeated guys, 2 undefeated prospects with not a lot of hype, but to hardcores are really hyped for hardcores and end up getting finished and quote unquote fraud checked. And how they respond, I think Mike Mallot's gonna respond good. I think he absolutely destroys Trevin Giles. He submits Trevin Giles, even though people don't know, Trevin Giles submitted Brendan Allen. Think about what I'm telling you. Brendan Allen is he is a monster He submitted Brendan Allen, and now he's down to welterweight. He's going to get submitted by Mike Mallot. Book it. Moving on. We have Caio Machado versus Brenton Ribeiro. Now, this is a tough one. This is a pick'em because both of these guys have fought on the Dana White Contender Series, both won and haven't won since. They're both 0-2 in the UFC. In my opinion, this is make or break. I think both of them understand that the loser of this fight might not be in the UFC anymore. They are legit, in my opinion, fighting for their jobs. I don't like how Brenton Ribeiro has been looking. He got finished. He got finished recently. I don't like his body language when he's hurt. I do, on the other hand, like Caio Machado's durability. He can eke out decisions. Even though he's losing those decisions, he does just enough to stay alive. Durability-wise, I like Caio Machado much more than I like Ribeiro. Offensively, on both sides, they have okay jiu-jitsu. They have okay striking. If I were to give the upper hand to somebody, it would be Caio Machado's jiu-jitsu. Both tough, but Caio Machado is durable. This is an extremely close fight, a pick'em. I see this fight going two ways. The first one is both of these guys understand, bro, your life is on the line. Like, your life is actually on, your work is on the line. If you lose this fight, Dana's probably gonna cut the loser, so they both come out, throw crazy, someone goes for the finish, or they both understand that we both need a win, so they just eke out a decision, hold each other against the cage, try to take each other down, eke out a decision. And I'm going with the later option. I'm going with Caio Machado for a decision, keeping his job in the UFC. Moving on, we have Derrick Lewis versus Jonathan Diniz. Now, I'm going with Derrick Lewis by KO. This was another tough one. Diniz is a undefeated kickboxer. This guy is legit kickboxer. I rewatched some of his old fights. This guy he's susceptible to high kicks, though. I'll give him that. Derrick Lewis doesn't have a great high kick, and if he ever does throw a high kick, we can see it coming from a mile away. But I'm going with Derrick Lewis, even though Diniz has ways to victory. He can play from the outside. He can calf kick him to death. He can just even though that's gonna be tough because Derrick Lewis only needs one shot to put you down. This is a big jump for Diniz in competition. And Derrick Lewis, I promise you, the UFC is giving you a layup. They don't want you fighting wrestlers. This was supposed to be the main event before the Moreno fight got booked. I'm going with Derrick Lewis. I see him pushing him against the cage and just catching him with a big old right overhand. And I'm going with Derrick Lewis by absolutely brutal KO. This is a layup compared to other competition in that division. Other wrestlers, guys that are just going to hold you down. Cough, Jailton Almeida, and just make it a slow fight. Or like a Sergey Pavlovich that is going to come and fucking destroy you in fucking less than a minute. This is a layup. The guy does punch hard, but not harder than Tai Tuivasa, not harder than Sergey Pavlovich. I'm going Derrick Lewis, stalks him down up against the cage and gets the overhand right KO. Moving on, we have Thug Rose Namajunas versus Erin Blanchfield, and I'm going with Rose Namajunas. Now, the outcome is what I'm struggling with because I can see a way to which Thug Rose KOs Erin Blanchfield, but I'm gonna play it safe. I'm going Thug Rose by decision. Erin Blanchfield got absolutely brutally exposed against Manon Fiorot. Like, it was one of the most, it looked like night and day when they were striking. Manon was doing whatever she wanted to Erin Blanchfield on the feet. The only thing about Blanchfield is when you're up against the cage, if she's clinching you up against the cage, she is going to find a way to take you down. Now, if you have good takedown defense, like Manon Fiorot showed, like all-world takedown defense, she's going to struggle. She cannot strike. Her jiu-jitsu is all-world. Don't get it fucked up. Her jiu-jitsu is all world. Can she get you to the ground? I think Rose shocked everybody against Tracy Cortez. Everybody was like, Tracy Cortez is going to come in and take Rose down and hold her down. And Rose said, watch this, and ended up taking her down, ended up knocking her down. She beat Amanda Ribas, who's an all-world striker for that division. I think Rose just has more She has more to her toolbox, but Rose is the better fighter. People are underrating Rose. I don't know what it is. She fought Manon, and it was a close fight, and she broke her one of her fingers in the first round and still had a close fight with Manon. Nobody has looked better than Rose in this weight division when she fought. Manon looked good, but Rose looked good as well. Could have went either. I know Manon won that fight, but it was extremely close when rewatching it. Rose, I can see her getting the knockout. I can see her footwork's the best in WMMA, one of the best in MMA totally. She's going to hit him with the ha-ha. She has that footwork where you're not going to just catch her and take her down. You're not going to back her up against the cage, especially somebody who's not a good striker and doesn't have good cornering. Like, okay, good example would be Khabib. Khabib can hunt you down, put you up against the cage and take you down. Erin Blanchfield doesn't possess that. She has good jiu-jitsu, but she doesn't have good takedowns against people with takedown defense, like even a 50% takedown defense. I'm going Rose, playing the outside, fishing for a KO. I can see a 1-2 KO, jab cross finish. I can even see a high kick finish. I'm going with Thug Rose Namajunas by decision, cementing her as the number one fighter in that division, number one contender, I mean, because Manon gets the next shot, and I think Rose is next after that to get the title shot. Going on, we have, for the main event, Amir Albazi versus Brandon Moreno. This is really tough. The toughest fight to pick on this card. I'm going with Amir Albazi. I just don't know what Brandon Moreno is going to show up. Like, the Brandon Moreno that fought Brandon Royval looked defeated. And Royval doesn't have power. Royval has submission offense, but he's not fishing for subs. Royval's just going to play on the outside. It was like the perfect fight for a Moreno win. He did beat him before. It was kind of like a shoulder injury, but it was set up perfectly for Brandon Moreno to win, and he lost. I just seen, like, Amir Albazi lost to Kai France. You can't tell me otherwise, but Moreno doesn't have the takedown defense of a Kai France. He doesn't have the submission defense of a Kai France, like the will not to tap. Kai France, Amir Albazi had Kai France in a rear naked choke. So tight, we all thought he was going to tap, and he fished out, put his hands under, made sure he had a little bit of breathing room, stuck his fingers through. Just the normal defenses for a rear naked choke. Fought the hands, constantly fought the hands, finally escaped and stood back up. Even had him, Amir Albazi, hurt multiple times. I'm just going with Albazi. I think even Albazi can get a finish. I think Albazi takes down Brandon Moreno, holds him down for the first, does the same thing in the second, and I think he submits Brandon Moreno. I just don't like Brandon Moreno's morale as of late. He even came out and said he's like taking a long break from MMA after the Royval fight. I just don't like his morale recently. I'm going with Amir Albazi, takes him down, holds him down for the first. In the second round, does the same thing and submits Brandon Moreno, cementing himself as the number one contender. Even though I think him and Royval should fight to see who's next, but I'm going with Amir Albazi to finish Brandon Moreno via rear naked choke. And that is that. Make sure you subscribe, tell a friend that the MMA gang is in, and that is that.